Syrian army tanks in Deir Zur. This is not the first time the government has sent its forces to this center of protest. But activists say it is part of the military's intensified crackdown to gain the upper hand on the ground before observers arrive to monitor Syria's compliance with an Arab League peace plan. The military carried out a major offensive in Idlib over the past few days. The northwestern province, just like Deir Zur, is an area where army defectors were gaining strength and putting up resistance against the state. According to activists, they have lost territory in Idlib's Jabal Zawiya region, and defectors are being targeted.
Bashar al-Assad gave orders to the army to end the uprising using all means possible. They want to stop the protests in the streets. They are also targeting the army defectors. The defectors have been the ones who provide protection to the protesters.
But the latest outbreak of violence prompted more soldiers to switch sides. In the city of Hama, Colonel Adnan Mohammed Halk and his men declared their support for the protesters. So far, the defectors haven't posed a real threat to the state. They don't have heavy weapons, and their numbers are still relatively insignificant. Opposition activists believe the latest crackdown by the Syrian army aims at crushing any form of dissent before the arrival of the Arab League observer mission to the country, a mission the opposition no longer has faith in. The Syrian National Council is calling for international intervention in the Syrian crisis. They want internationally protected safe zones that would provide civilians and army defectors with refuge. The international community has issued harsh criticisms of the Syrian government's actions, but hasn't shown any enthusiasm to get involved in the fighting.
It's a wrong idea for us, the Jordanian or the Turks or the French, to go inside Syria to create a safety zone, for example, because that will lead to a direct conflict, a direct confrontation with the Syrian army. But that is the only possible way before Syria as a whole get rotten. The longer we stay off Syria, the rotten the whole country will become, and by the time the regime will fall, we will receive a divided Syria.
Syria, in many ways, is already divided. It's not clear whether the opposition's calls for international help will be heard. But activists say that regardless of the world's response, or the lack of one, they will not bow. Zana Khudr, Aljazeera, Hatay, southern Turkey.